One of the first things Moroccans ask me when I tell them that I moved from the United States to Morocco is, why? My actual path to moving to Morocco is a pretty long story, but the main reason was that my Moroccan husband and I wanted our kids to learn Arabic, and we also wanted them to get to know his family as well as they had gotten to know my family. So we made the decision that it was time to go. But the reason that we chose to stay was because we were able to build a business here that surpassed what we could have done in the United States. And I know that's going to seem like a surprise to some of you. So growing up, the idea of the American dream was this constant, a reminder of the successful life that you could have if you just worked hard enough. I'm sure maybe some of you have heard of it. You have a mom, a dad, 2 kids, a nice house, a car in the driveway, a white picket fence, great jobs, dinner on the table by 6 o'clock every night. Everything runs like clockwork, and everyone's got a big smile on their face. Not to mention, you take a fabulous yearly vacation and you have a gigantic savings account just in case. It sounds so perfect and so simple, right? But it turns out that idea is really hard to achieve. In our case, and that of most of my friends of the same age, it turned out to be virtually impossible. I graduated from university at the very beginning of the major recession that rocked the United States. So as I was finishing school, I came out and there were no jobs. Everyone was getting laid off. And for someone who hadn't had any experience, it was really looking like it would be a difficult situation. So I didn't really know what to do. We were stuck in a tight situation. My husband was an immigrant to the United States, and he was only able to get a job making minimum wage, which where we lived was about $7 an hour. I had over $100,000 in student loans from university that I needed to pay back immediately. And I needed a job that would pay the rent and would put food on the table and would make sure that our kids could be taken care of. So we were really wondering what we were going to do, and this idea of an American dream kept drifting further and further and further away. The struggle that we faced was just like a constant source of frustration in our life. So we decided to take the skills that we had acquired and transition our work so that we could work remotely. We had really wanted to move to Morocco up to this point, but we hadn't really thought we could make it happen, just considering all of the obstacles that were in front of us. But we knew we were also running out of time. Our kids were getting older, and we knew the older that they got, the harder making such a major life change would be much more harder for them. So we had a very, very limited savings account, 2 computers, and a willingness to try anything. So we made a plan to move to Morocco for 1 year, and in 1 year our kids were going to become fluent in Arabic and French, mind you, and then we would go back to the United States. But what happened next, we didn't expect at all. So I've written a website called Morocco Mama for over 10 years now, and people always ask me a lot of questions about Morocco. One of the most common questions I get is, where can I go and eat Moroccan food in Marrakesh? So I started this idea as a way to translate Moroccan recipes that I learned from my husband's family into an American kitchen. And to share about life living in an intercultural marriage, what it's like to have both cultures represented and raising kids that way. But as time had gone on, I became really, really immersed in Moroccan food and traditions. So it made sense that people would ask me these kinds of questions. So you might already know this, but there aren't that many great restaurants in Marrakesh to eat Moroccan food because your moms and grandmas make Moroccan food way better than any restaurant. And sadly, the attitude for a lot of these places is, it's just for the tourists. They don't know any different anyway. Which breaks my heart every day. So knowing these facts, I thought, what if there was a way that we could make you know, places where these people could go and eat real Moroccan food so that they would have this experience. Because it was my experience too. The first time I came to Morocco, I left and I said, if I never see a chicken and lemon tagine again, it will be a good day. So add to this that all my readers also are English speakers. They faced an uphill battle because they couldn't communicate with people easily, and the places where I would tell them to go, the menus are not in English, and the people serving them likely don't speak English. So what were they going to do? My idea was, why not take this and create a tour experience where we can take English-speaking people to eat in the places that my American mom would never walk in, but my Moroccan mother-in-law would deem good enough to suit her very high standards. It was really a very, very simple idea, and our hope was that maybe through doing this we could help my readers, and also we could pay our kids' school fees. Guess what? It worked. So right now you're asking, but Amanda, like, what does this have to do with the American dream? It was from this one very small and very simple idea that we were able to create a business that has not only sustained our family and helped us stay in Morocco longer, but it has given us more options than we ever imagined. A possibility that could happen in Morocco, but would not have existed if we were still living in the United States. So there's a lot of arguments I'm met with when I say Morocco gave us this opportunity. Statements like, okay, Amanda, well, you had money to do this. That's why it was easy. We had only 500 dirham extra in our budget the month that we launched our business and to use towards this new idea. And we knew, starting out, that we didn't have a huge budget to work with. We couldn't buy a shop or a restaurant. We couldn't invest tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dirham into a business that we didn't know would succeed or not. It wasn't even on the table, so we never even considered it. Or you might argue, well, Amanda, you had access to a bank in the United States, that could give you a loan to start your business. Sorry, that's rude. We had almost no credit. Sorry, technical difficulty. We had almost no credit in the United States, and in order to get a loan, you have to show you have a credit history. We had no credit history at all. Well, Amanda, you must have known someone that could help you with the paperwork and the process and everything that it takes to start a business in Morocco. We knew no one and had no idea how the business or tax system worked in Morocco. My husband had been gone for over 10 years when we came back, and he was only 20 when he left, so he had no experience to fall back on. So why am I telling you all of this? Because the key ingredient to our success was figuring out what we could do and ignoring all of the ideas and the mindsets that it wasn't possible. And trust me, it was an uphill battle. At every turn, my husband fell back on the argument, this will never work. And I kept pushing us forward to say, yeah, but like, what if it does work? But from where I'm standing, I see countless opportunities if you're willing to be creative and take a few calculated risks. Our risk paid off. Today our business employs both of us full-time, as well as having support staff and guides who work in our company. Having a university degree gives you a background and knowledge to use your skills to create something new. Society tells us we should take a traditional job, a stable job, a job that will provide a ready income. But what do you do when those jobs don't exist, or they only provide enough stability to get by? Then I think it's time to rethink that idea. Society also tells us we'll only be successful if we follow a very specific path. If we do X, Y, and Z, then you'll be successful. Or if you have this amount of money in a bank, then you're successful. Or, as I've heard from people here, unfortunately, when you leave Morocco and you go to Europe or the United States, then you'll be successful. But none of this is true. In Morocco and across the world, traditional jobs are harder and harder to find. We know that Morocco faces a major issue with youth unemployment. Official statistics cite it at around 18%. It's why so many people think that leaving to find work in another country is such a valid option. But what if you built something for yourself? What if, instead of relying on finding those traditional jobs and using the definition of success that society sets for us, you build your own definition of success? I believe fully that entrepreneurship is a key component of helping to alleviate the issues of unemployment, as well as building stronger communities and stronger economies. So how do we, or how do you, do it? There are three main questions that you need to start asking yourself. First, what problems are there and how can you solve them? Second, what skills do you have? And third, what needs or wants do people have that you can meet? I encourage you to think small. It doesn't have to be this huge idea. Our idea was so tiny, and we would have never imagined that it would have equaled what it did. But we solved somebody's problem. People had a problem, we had the skills, we made a solution. I think it's also really important to set realistic goals. Starting out with a really small goal and then building additional goals on top of it will help you see success and transition your business to just an idea to seeing it as a successful enterprise. Finally, and maybe most importantly, is you need to think outside of the box. And don't copy what has been done over and over again. Just because Mohammed has a successful business selling Khamsa t-shirts doesn't mean you'll be successful selling Khamsa t-shirts next door. This is the mentality and the reason why you see something like 20 orange juice vendors lined up in Jamal Fina or 5 pizza places on the same block. Every country and every situation presents its own unique set of challenges, but also its own unique set of opportunities. I'm happy to call Morocco home today, and I want to thank you for helping me achieve my American dream here.